Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is JLeesCorner. This is what? A quick little gossip chat for who said that. Quick little story of saying I have to do these things separately because there's so much going on or whatever. And I didn't want no 45-minute, 85-minute, 100-minute, 2-hour long thing. So y'all getting these piece by piece, story by story. Okay? So let's see what's up with these two fools. Honey, when it rains, it pours, okay? At least for Joe Budden's sake. So we all know. A couple weeks ago, he was all in the news because Harry said Joe was beating my ass from here to Tuscaloosa or whatever. From here to Tuscaloosa, whatever. From here to the bank, okay? And he said she lying, I ain't do all that. We was toxic to one another, okay? A long time ago. Well, this week, audio leak. We know that, girl, everybody, look, stop recording stuff. Okay, nothing can leak if you don't record it or whatever. Don't let any recording devices be anywhere in the vicinity. Okay, don't have no conversation around anybody you don't want to possibly leak that conversation to anywhere else. Okay, that's how you prevent leakage. Okay, so it was like a 20 minutes audio leak of a conversation between Joe and Sin, okay? And y'all been asking me about it, so here it goes, okay? So, the phone call was about 2 months before they were going to start filming the last season of Love and Hip Hop New York. Okay, and we know that because he said it in the audio, whatever. So basically, it was really just him and her talking or whatever. And she was saying how it's kind of crazy that you don't want to give me $5,000, Joseph. I'm saying to get an apartment for your son. Why can't your lawyers just cut a check, Joseph? Okay, so he's trying to get them to talk in person. She does not want to talk in person. She's like, I don't want to do that or whatever. I'm done with you, whatever. We're not together no more. All we have in common is our son, Joseph. That's all. Our son, Joseph. My son, Joseph. That's all we have in common. Now he's begging, I want my family back. I want you back. I want to be in a home with me and our son so he can see his parents together. This is what Joe was saying. Looking like, you shouldn't have done whatever it was you did to lose your home. So her thing is, I don't want to be in person with you. I'm saying, I don't want that. He then said, oh, you want me to be like them stalker dudes who will stalk you and then pop up where you at just to have a face-to-face conversation with you. He said they're going to have these cameras in our faces in 2 months. Okay, do you really want the first half for us to talk in person to be on camera? And then her thing, like, look, all we need to talk about is child support, me getting a new place for our son, and then the visitation schedule. So she is trying to keep it to the kid. He wants to talk in person or whatever, but her thing was, I asked for $5,000 to get me an apartment, and you won't give it to me. I feel like as an adult, if you leave, because before any of this happened, Sin said our own mouth that she left Joe. That Joe had done whatever, she had found out whatever, and she left him. We also knew back then that she left him while he was on tour doing his podcast. So I feel like if you leave me, why is it my job to get you a new place? You left me. You wasn't prepared. Be prepared in life to leave your punk ass baby daddy, but get you your own place. I never want to be at the whim of someone else to have to pay me to get somewhere to live. I don't want to be at the mercy of anyone else to have to consistently have a conversation with them to say, hey, I need you and your lawyers to give you $5. I don't want that. The minute I realize some shit was afoot in our relationship, I'm stacking money from that point going forward because I don't want to have to depend on this asshole to get me a place to live. But I digress. I'm not saying she don't need child support. She do need child support. But asking that man who you left to give you money to get a place, I would have preferred if you had that all thought out before you left that man, okay? Because again, men can be assholes, and you don't want any man having the power over you to say, I bought your house, I paid your rent, okay? You be I don't want that. I ain't got time. Anyway, he brings up, Okay, well, why did you tell the lawyer that you don't want me along with my son? This is all on audio. Because I'm his mom. I've been his mom his whole life. And I am the one who have always been his primary caregiver. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what he eats. You don't change his diaper or whatever. You have not even given him a bath. So she's making it seem as enjoying this shit. It's been on her. You know, you drink beer all day or whatever, and I want what's best for my son. You work all the time, Joseph, okay? A lot. You know, he went on to how, you know what I'm saying, well, first of all, we lived together. So it's not as if you was somewhere else with our son and I was in the household too. Again, a lot of back and forth between the two of them in this conversation or whatever. And he brings up how, so what does it matter if one parent is with the kid with the nanny? Like if you at home with a kid with the nanny, if I'm at home with a nanny, it should not matter. Okay, we both are his parent or whatever. It wasn't until about 13 minutes into the conversation that, you know, of him saying how they need to talk in person. Oh, so you can chase me around, Joseph, and drag me again, Joseph? Like, I dragged you. When and where did I drag you, Sin? Like, when did I do that? Oh, so were you so drunk, Joseph? Were you drunk, Joseph? He's like, no, I was very, very sober. Okay, I was not drunk. I was aware of what was going on. So he's aware of whatever situation that she's saying where he's allegedly dragged her from point A to point B, even though on this recording he did not admit to it. I don't think he knew it was recorded. I'm surprised that she didn't either push the issue further or he didn't deny it more. So that part, I'm gonna let that be what it was or whatever. We all know that Joseph has a habit of putting his hands on people and he should not, okay? Joseph's a piece of shit. So that was the gist of the conversation or whatever. So we then seen different levels of responses, okay? From the audio leaking to the paperwork that leaked supposedly of their time of being breaking up and were supposed to go to court. We hear allegations of him wanting to fuck dogs. Girl. I mean, so let's get to that. Now, Sin replied first. She did like an almost 10-minute IG live video where she basically talked in circles, and this is what she said. My son, my family, all of our mental health, not Joseph, but she would just kept saying how her family, her son, her baby daddy, you know, people should care about their mental health. I'm assuming she means when the audio leaked, when the paperwork leaked, everyone had an opinion. And she's saying everyone coming at them is not good for anyone's mental health. I completely understand that. I completely agree with that. But I feel like Sin has been around long enough to where she has involved herself in shit all up and through these internet streets or whatever. It's not as if she's some innocent bystander who minds her own business, who does not be on social media for this or for that. This is kind of how reality stars make their money, bread and butter, whatever. You want people to talk about you, so you can't have it to where audio that you recorded leaked, and now you want people to not talk. You want privacy now? You recorded a private conversation, and then a year later it got out. Okay, now she did not say anyone's name. She kept saying someone I trust, someone like a sister, you know, leaked it. So she's alleging that someone close to her leaked it. She never said anybody's name or anything. I'm a mother, okay? I defend my family. She never really said much. So it was 10 minutes of round and round and round conversation of her saying, my son, I would do whatever for my son's mental health. Your son don't know shit that's going on in these IG, YouTube, blogs, streets. He's too young. You do, and we want you to be happy and healthy, to be a good mom, and we want Joe to be happy and healthy, to be a good dad. But I mean, at the end of the day, this life y'all chose a little bit or whatever. And I feel like the fact that she barely denied most of it, she just said, you know, Joe's a good father. He's a great father to Lex. But in the audio, you act like he didn't do shit for the kid. But I digress, okay? So that was seeing sort of denial, just saying that, you know, her and Joe was good, the baby good or whatever, and everybody should leave them be and get in their privacy. Joe then did the video. Okay, he was live on IG for I forgot how long it was, and he kind of spoke about it more in detail than Sin did. He mentioned how he wished Sin would have went in more detail to like defend him and say, Joe wouldn't do this and Joe wouldn't do that. But she went at it from an emotional standpoint, and he's fine with that or whatever. He say me and Sin had a very public breakup last year, okay? In that time of them breaking up, Sin became good friends with Rocky. So he said, Rocky is the one that he believes leaked the audio allegedly or whatever. He blames Rocky. Now, Rocky was on Love and Hip Hop around the time when Joe was still doing drugs, when he was not with Tahiri. He was with that girl who had vampire teeth. This is the season that Rocky was on there. And if you remember the one season when they were at Joe's house and Tahiri got into a fight with a girl at the pool and they had to drag the girl out. This is that girl. Okay. She may have been on another episode or two after that, but that's the only thing I remember her from. So she has not been on there since then or whatever. Okay. Anyway, he brings up, I'll take her off for a little bit. He brings up how when he and Sin broke up, Sin was confiding in Rocky because Rocky was a mutual friend. Rocky has been around for years, even though way back when she said that Joe dragged her out his house by her neck when her and Tahiri got into a fight. I don't know why anyone would stay friends with someone who drags them out their house by their neck. I don't know how we end up being friends like her. She also said in an interview, this is like 7 years ago, that at the time he was high on Molly because he was on drugs. My friends who on drugs still can't drag me by my neck. No, thank you. Okay, but I digress. But again, he said Sin and Rocky got close. Rocky started managing Sin or whatever, and they was the thick as thieves or whatever. He says, and then while him and Sin was going through it, they were trying to go to court back and forth, but Rocky was their middle ground person and back and forth. He said, there was a lot of calls between him and Sin, him and Rocky calling him, telling him what was going on with Sin. He made it seem like Rocky was on Sin's side, and she was also just telling Joe things that Sin said. That was Joe's perspective of things and whatnot. He says he believed at the time that Sin was recording the call, that Rocky was also recording the call. He says Sin was doing that because she was trying to bring up a case or have evidence against Joe in the case going to court, because he's saying that people in her ear were saying, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this if you want money, whatever. So he's alleging that Sin was listening to everybody else to try to build up a case against Joe to either get more money or this or that or whatnot. Boom. He then brings up that Sin and Rocky was kind of both threatening to put out these allegations on him. Allegations of him being abusive, allegations of him wanting to fuck the dog, or having some weird sexual natured relationship with a dog. We then seen the clip of Joe on his podcast rubbing the co-host or whoever's dog, okay? And Joe out his own mouth said, why is it that when I'm rubbing dog's belly, I feel the need to touch their private areas and help them out? And I'm looking like, oh, wait, what? You helping out dogs? You helping out dogs, bro? Why? And even though he was laughing, and could it be a joke? It could possibly be a joke. I don't know. I know the co-host do say, dog, give me my dog. Give me my dog back. I don't want that shit, okay? And he then said out his own mouth, oh, you can't tell me that people with dogs, that y'all have never helped y'all dog out, once or twice. I'm like, that's just I don't know how that happens. So we seen that audio that was at least within recent times, the past year or two, whatever, of him saying he's helped dogs release their dog stuff or whatever. So in this paperwork that Sin was trying to build a case up against him, Sin also put in there that he has, these weird situations of masturbating dogs. I'm like, that's kind of nasty. Joe then, so they had a court date set up for 2 days before their court date that, he and Sin had a conversation. They talked things out. They settled things or whatever, and they did not go to court. And so the things that were written down that would have been on record in court never went to court. It never should have seen the light of day. It should have been torn up, ripped up, and shredded up, whatever. However, he says Rocky was the one who had all this evidence. So that was what Joe was saying. Okay, y'all also imply like, Sin should have just said that and let it be. Like, why try to keep protecting Rocky? Okay, and he feel like, Rocky and Sin, who then had a beef, and they fell out. Okay, because of their issues or whatever, he's been dragged into their beef, and it has nothing to do with him. I'm like, look. At the end of the day, I just think it's weird that all of this is happening at the same time. I also feel like Joe has a tendency to always act as if he has no idea why anything is happening to him. He don't have any idea of what happened here and what happened there. And everybody lying. Joe, everybody not lying. I'm not saying y'all fucking dogs. Okay, I ain't gonna say that. But I think whatever bullshit was going on between you and Sin is actual and factual or whatever. Now, Sin, in her video, she didn't deny or confirm anything. She just said that Joe was a good father to the kid. She could have at least said he don't jack off dogs. But now Rocky then posted on her IG. Okay, that's Rocky. She posted a whole long ass, girl, when I say this shit will take me forever to read, it's gonna be forever to read. And I'm like, why so much information or whatever? So this is what it is. What is it? This is what she posted. All that shit there. I'm not gonna keep being quiet while you drag my name through the mud in another poor effort to deflect and keep your fan base under your narcissistic spell. Clearly, you need me, okay, to help you refresh your severely disintegrated memory and correct the bold-faced lies you always tell. You asked me to manage Sin after y'all broke up because you thought I would help keep tabs on her. Now, she goes on and on and on about, as a woman, I choose to no longer play wingman to your toxic relationship and made the choice to sacrifice my time and money and resources to help Sin because Lord knows it was desperately needed in multiple ways. It was for no other reason than to help a young mother make it out of a volatile situation that the both of you sought my advice for religiously, as neither one of you have the adult mental capacity to work out your traumas in your toxic, deranged relationship. Okay, you use me as a part of what you call the rescue team because I played that role time and time again in your many failed tumultuous relationships. I was the designated person for a few of your exes to help smooth things out as your friend and out of the kindness of my heart, and I extended my home, my clothes, my shoes, my bags, and finances to rehabbing and being supportive of them. And in return, when things wasn't as easy as bouncing around to Beyonce on IG, the shook thing to do is run back to the dysfunction and make up whatever narrative helps secure the bag. Honestly, any woman willing to bed you for a slice of fame and a place to lay their head was already damaged goods from the get-go. I just so happen to have a soft heart for idiotic and Stockholm Syndrome individuals that you've dragged. Girl, that was a lot. Okay, that was a whole lot. She went on to post different screenshots after screenshots after screenshots of texts that they did, different conversations they had. There's a whole bunch of things which really just show that Joe was asking her to do things, to talk to Sin, to do this or to do that, and it was just too much. I don't have time to read all that shit. At the end of the day, it do look like her and Joe were in conversation. It do look like Rocky was helping. She was with Sin, and when Joe would ask how things are going, she would respond or whatever. So it's a whole back and forth thing, and then eventually got to the point where she said, you asked me to manage her, but your mama called me pissed off that I'm doing that. It seemed too much, and the whole back and forth ensued. And the last conversation was him just saying the lawyers will handle it, and there's nothing to discuss without them. So I'm guessing that's the point where they discuss things themselves the lawyers handle things or whatever, and they stopped talking to Rocky. So I mean, at the end of the day, Rocky trying to say that it was Sin and Joe who leaked things, because she said if you look at the paperwork that was leaked, she said a part of the picture you can see what looks to be a green screen and a pole. And she then said, yeah, because on Love and Hip Hop, they had a green screen and a pole too. That's a reach for me. It's a whole reach for me or whatever. Either way it goes, I don't know who leaked it, but I'm like, why y'all fussing? Now, if somebody just don't say that he don't fuck dogs, do he fuck dogs? Y'all think he fuck dogs? I hope he don't fuck dogs. I hope. That's just nasty. I mean, but some people into that shit. Girl, I don't know. But that was the whole Joe Budden sin thing. At the end of the day, we all know that Joe has a tendency to put his hands on women. Sin also where that at this point in time, they all need to just go away. That's it. That was the girl. Oh, that was so much to say. Anyway, y'all, I'm done. Peace.